Hey guys, in this video I'm going to talk about the difference between setting a real goal and setting a fantasy. We will then look at how you can make sure the fantasy is not holding you back from actually setting real goals. When it comes to setting goals, how can you make sure that you set a real goal and not just a fantasy? See, we often tend to set fantasies where there's actually no evidence whatsoever in our lives that this is important to us and that we're somehow making steps in the direction of achieving that objective. And in that case, it's just a fantasy. It's not a real true goal. Because if it was a real true goal, then there would be some kind of evidence in your life that it's actually important to you and that you dedicate the time and the effort and your resources to achieving that. So if you don't see any evidence whatsoever in your life that you actually are on the way to achieving what you say you want to achieve, then it's just a fantasy. All right? Let's say, for example, if you say you want to get super fit and shredded, but you don't ever go to the gym, you hate doing exercises, and you don't even do any exercises, not even at home, then it's most likely that this is really just a fantasy that you just, created in your mind from, and that's where it often comes from comparing yourself to other people, where you saw that person being like super fit and you're like, why can't I just be as fit as that person and as shredded looking? But in actuality, there's other things that are more important to you. It might be your kids, it might be your career, whatever it is. But you rather dedicate your time and effort into these things instead of in the things that get you to achieve that goal. And so when we set these fantasies, which can also just be that we have fantasies of other people doing things that they don't value, So if we expect somebody else to do something that is outside of what they value most, of what is really important to them, then it's just a fantasy, an unrealistic expectation that we have on other people. So it's important to really understand and get to know ourselves and know what we personally really value, but also to understand other people and their values and what their priority is in order to have more realistic expectations on them and on yourself. But let's say you have a fantasy, but you actually really want to make this happen. Then there's two things that you can do. You can either just go and somehow find a way to get started and just think like make the first steps, and that will get you going, and that will lead you to build incremental steps that will eventually, create momentum and lead you to achieving that goal. Or you can really look at how can you connect doing that to what is really most important to you. And if you do that and you write down 100 benefits of you achieving that goal and doing that, then chances are much greater that you invest the time and effort that it takes for you to achieve those goals. If neither of those are options for you, then just let it go. Then just understand and realize that this is just a fantasy. And if you keep letting it in your mind, it takes up time and space in your mind, and you might get frustrated and you might, judge yourself for not getting there. And that might take you away or somehow gets you off the track to actually going after the goals that are really true to you and that are really aligned with what is important to you. All right. So in that case, just drop that fantasy, even if it might hurt, to let that fantasy go, because that's what usually is the case, because you have that ideal and that fantasy of where you want to go and how you want your life to be. But if it's not really true to you and you don't want to go for any of these strategies, then just let it go and free up time and space in your mind to set a real, true goal that is aligned with what is more important to you. If you do that, then it's way more realistic that you actually achieve your goals and you will build confidence. And who knows, maybe eventually you come back to that goal or that fantasy that you had, and you will make it happen then. It was just not the right timing. All right. So 2 options: find a way to just get started, connect it to what's really important to you, or just let it go and free yourself up for the achievement of your true goals.